We did it. We made it through another week, and it's time for a nice cup of tea. Actually, that's false advertising. This is coffee today because I need it. And also, we're going to talk about some books. It's time for a weekly recap. Hey everyone, I hope that you've had a good week and that you've enjoyed whatever it is that you've been reading. My reading week has been a mixture of gaiety and pure fun and darkness, bleak intensity. And in this video, I'm going to talk about both. I'm going to talk about what I'm currently reading, what I just finished reading, what I'm looking forward to reading, and then I'll tell you about the book battles that we've had over on the Discord and how they've played out. I'll also talk about the projects that I've been working on with my voice acting and my audiobook narrating, and talk about what I've been watching as well. We'll update the top 10 watch list of 2025 and see if any movies or TV shows that I've watched this week have made the list. But let's start off by talking about what I'm currently reading, and that is the first book I've been reading this week is East of Eden by John Steinbeck. So I've only just started this book. I'm probably about 8% into this book, and even though it's really early days, I already feel as though I have like a strong sense of it. I don't know if it's the style of the writing or the time that Steinbeck is taking to develop the first characters that I've met. There's just this sort of like strange feeling of instant familiarity with the characters. And there's something about the way that they are written that's just like immediately grabbed me. These feel like real people, and I know that's like such a cliche, like, oh, the characters felt real to me or whatever, but that can't be overstated how important that is to me, that a character feels real. Because if they feel like they're flesh and bone, then they feel as though they are susceptible to harm, and that their goals are real goals that I want to come true. Do you know what I mean? Whereas if someone feels like a bit of a caricature, that can be fun. That can be fun as a form of entertainment, but I might not be like fully invested in the future of the character. I've only met a few of the characters in the book so far. I've met Will and Liza Hamilton, just completely invested in them. Also Charles and Adam and Cyrus Trask. I believe that Charles and Adam are representations of the two characters from the Bible, Cain and Abel, and already you're starting to see a little bit of that. No spoilers, obviously, can't spoil it. I've only read 8% of the book, and don't worry, I'm not going to spoil the Bible for you either. You know, I know it's been out 1800 years, but not everyone's got around to reading it yet. It's like really long TBR lists, you know, it's the problem. Can't really say too much more about this book really, because I just started it. The other book that I'm currently reading this week is My Best Friend's Exorcism by Grady Hendrix. So I am about a third into this book, and this is just pure fun. It's like reading a cheesy 80s popcorn movie. It sort of reminds me of The Goonies or like Stranger Things, in the way that it celebrates and creates a sense of nostalgia for the 1980s. What's really standing out most about this book is all of the cultural references, the movies that people were watching back then. E.T. is like a massive thing in this book. All of the chapter titles are song titles that were really popular in the 80s. I think this book's going to be really good for people that were maybe teenagers during the 80s. I was just a little kid in the 80s, you know, but I feel like if you were a teenager during the 80s, you were going to high school, especially high school in America, then I think this is going to just fill you up with that sense of nostalgia. And that's really what the book is setting out to do. You can kind of tell even by the cover that, you know, it's got that sort of like cheesy 1980s style, a little bit faded colors as well, you know, and it's got like the VHS, even like the corners are all scratched up like your old VHS boxes used to be. Nice little touch, I thought. This is a book that knows exactly what it is, and it accomplishes what it sets out to do. It entertains, it makes you laugh. It's fun. I like both of the main characters, Abby and Gretchen. I really enjoy the friendship that they have with each other, and how you get to see that develop over time. It starts off when they're a little bit younger, and then, you know, the part that I'm at now, they're teenagers, and I think this is where the bulk of the story is obviously happening in their teen years. The PBJ Book Club actually chose this as our monthly read along, and we've left off at a point where it feels like things are about to start getting really creepy, and so I'm excited to see just how creepy it gets. I don't think it's really, even though it's a horror book, right? I don't think it's really meant to be very scary. But you never know. You know, it might continue to be fun, or it might take a darker turn and really surprise us. But yeah, that would be pretty cool if it did something like that. But yeah, enjoying it so far. So let's talk about the book that I finished. And the first book that I finished was Blood Meridian by Cormac McCarthy. So this is going to be strange to talk about because it's a book that I liked, but I did not enjoy, right? Oh, that's weird. What does he mean? What could he mean by that? I'll tell you. This book was sort of hard work. It was dismal and depressing, but I was fascinated by it, and I always looked forward to picking it up again. This book was like, do you know? Do you know what? You know what I'll compare this book to? It's like when you got a sore tooth, and you just can't stop. You just keep sticking your tongue next to it. You kind of like keep messing with it. It hurts, but you just can't stop doing it. So first off, let me just start by saying this is a masterpiece. Yes. The language is minimalistic to the point where every single word feels essential. So you really have to focus when you're reading this. And I know that's true of every book, right? You should be focusing on every book that you read, but more so here, I think. But that's sort of like the trick that the book plays on you, because in having to focus so closely, because the language is so sort of sparse, when something violent happens, it's like you're forced to look at the horrific thing in front of you with wide eyes and just not look away. You have to focus very clearly on every single horrific detail. While some of the violence is very graphic and vivid, sometimes the perspective of the character, the main protagonist, protagonist, I guess you would call him, the kid, the perspective feels a little bit removed, like you're hearing a myth that's being retold or witnessing like a fever dream. It's a little bit like Ishmael from Moby Dick, you know? You don't feel as though you ever really get to know the characters really well. Talking about the characters, one of the most famous characters from this book, the most famous character from this book, is this sort of charismatic and haunting guy called Judge Holden. He is mysterious and terrifying. And what makes him even more terrifying is the fact that I discovered that he was based on a real person. And in fact, the whole gang was based on a real gang that existed back in the day. I didn't actually know that going in. So now I'm sort of fascinated to do a bit of a deep dive into the real history behind this gang. Bit of a morbid curiosity, but Blood Meridian, I think, is one of those books that is really going to stick with me. I don't know if it's ever going to land on a top 10 list. I've got to be honest. It's one of those books that I'm glad to have read, but I don't know if I can easily recommend it to people. There was someone in the comment section last week and they were saying, oh, Blood Meridian sounds good. I might pick it up. I'd definitely be hesitant to recommend it because I just know it's not going to be for everyone. Some books I feel really confident in recommending to most people. The first one that always comes to mind is Project Hail Mary. I just think that is a book that most people would enjoy. And I feel really safe giving that recommendation to someone without knowing all of their tastes and without knowing them really well. But this book, I I feel like I could recommend this to a friend and go, yeah, I liked it. I really did like it. And then they'll read like the first 25% and be like, what are you talking about? Why have you recommended this to me? I don't trust you anymore. Obviously, like, this is my disorganized instant reaction to finishing the book. I just finished it yesterday. I am going to be sort of sitting down, really thinking about this, and I'll be releasing like a full review of Blood Meridian. That'll be coming out pretty soon. But yeah. This really challenged me. And actually, talking about books that I feel are really accessible to people, there was another book that I read this week, and it was Pines by Blake Crouch. I liked it. Pines had me from the very first page. It opens up with a character who doesn't really remember how they've arrived in this moment. They're just walking along the street. Everything's a bit cloudy. They're injured. It seems like maybe they've been in a car accident. He can't even remember his name for the first few pages, and he's slowly trying to piece together the mystery of who he is and how he's come to be in Wayward Pines. Later, we discover, and by the way, I feel totally fine explaining this to you because it's in the synopsis of the book, so this isn't a spoiler, right? But later we discover that he is a Secret Service agent who's been sent to Wayward Pines to find out what happened to two other agents who mysteriously disappeared. That setup to me is already interesting enough, but this book is full of mystery and suspense, and you just never know which direction this book's going to take. I do think that this is a contender for Book of the Month so far. It's a bit of an outside bet. It depends, I think, on whether East of Eden continues to live up to my expectations. Also, I've got Rebecca coming up as well, so I'm pretty excited about that. The good thing is that this book, Pines, is the first book in a trilogy, and I'm really excited to read the rest of the series. Honestly, it could end up being my favorite Blake Crouch book. It's at the moment it's between Pines and Recursion. I need to have a little think about that. But yeah, I'm sort of becoming a bit of a Blake Crouch fan. And so, as you know, what I like to do with every book that I finish is give the song equivalent to what this to what this book is, right? So the first one I feel like is really easy. Blood Meridian. Ben Nichols made a whole album inspired by Blood Meridian. My favorite song on the album is called Toadvine. So yeah, if Blood Meridian were a song, Toadvine by Ben Nichols. But really the whole album. Next, Pines. If Pines was a song, it would be A Forest by The Cure. It's actually weirdly accurate based on the lyrics in some points of the song. So what am I gonna be reading next week? Well, it's really a continuation. So I'm gonna continue reading My Best Friend's Exorcism with the book club. I'm also gonna be reading the rest of East of Eden, and I can't wait to sink my teeth into this book. I want to find out more about the characters, meet all of them, first of all. I've only met a handful so far, and just enjoy some really beautiful and descriptive writing. I didn't mention this before, but the setting is a big part of it as well. It's just so beautiful. It really does remind me of Lonesome Dove in a lot of ways. Yes, it takes place in the Salinas Valley. I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly, in California. And yeah, it's just really, really vividly described. Do you ever get a book where you start off reading it and you think to yourself, hang on a minute, am I about to read one of my favorite books? Is that about to happen? I've got that feeling. So let's talk a little bit about what I've been recording. I recorded a this really horrible little story. I'm not saying it was a bad story. It was just a horrible little thing that was basically a dark twist on Thomas the Tank Engine. You know how Thomas was narrated by Ringo Starr in the UK, and I think it was George Carlin in the US. Well, the client that I was working with wanted that same kind of like happy, innocent storybook tone, you know? So that's how I read it. But the ending was pretty horrific. I was a big Thomas the Tank Engine fan when I was a little kid. And yeah, it was just horrible, really. It was meant to be sort of like ironic horror, and yeah, it did make me feel a little bit uncomfortable. Don't get me wrong; I think that was the point. Um, the customer wanted the audience to feel unsettled, and so that's what I went for. But still, you know, that was an interesting job. I also recorded for the Patreon members the Telltale Heart by Edgar Allan Poe. That's the short story that I recorded this month. Every month, the Patreon members get to decide what short story I read and put out on the channel. And so, yeah, I really went for it on this one. I tried to sort of lean into the slow descent into madness. It's one of my favorite short stories of all time. And so if you'd like to listen to that, I'll make sure to drop a link to the audio in the description below. I set up a whole new channel, actually, a whole new YouTube channel just for my audiobook recordings of short story classics. It's called Coffee Break Fiction. And so if you're into classic short stories and you want something quick and free to listen to, I don't know, maybe check it out, and you could subscribe to make sure that you're getting the monthly stories as they come out. I keep it separate because I know that not everyone that watches this channel is into audiobooks and into specifically short classics, but I'm really excited about it. I'm excited that I've got this new channel that's just dedicated to me releasing these audiobooks and narrating some of my favorite short stories. I'll be doing some original pieces on there as well, but it's mostly going to be classics. I also recorded a few more chapters of Panacea by Alex Robbins. It's my second time working with this author, and I'm really enjoying it. It's a Greek-inspired fantasy, so I'm having a lot of fun. I got to have some extra fun this week because there's this big battle speech. And whenever those come up, I really go for it. I get pumped up, you know. I get my my amp, and then I turn the gain all the way down, and I just scream into the microphone at 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm sure my neighbors love it. No, but in all seriousness, the room that I have is pretty well soundproofed, but I do try to save the big battle scenes and the screaming and the big horror scenes for a bit later on in the day. It's at least, I think, got to be 7 a.m. Instead of 5 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, I love those moments where I can just fully immerse myself in the scene, dig into some heavy dialogue. And so that brings us to, what did I watch? What movie did I watch this week? After watching Sinners last week and absolutely loving it, I can't tell you how much I love this film. I let my wife pick the movie that we watched this time, and she went with Drop. It's a new release directed by Christopher Landon, and the story is about a widowed mother that's trying to get back out on the dating scene. She's on her first date in years, and then all of a sudden, she starts getting these like anonymous messages that are kind of airdropped to her. And at first, they're just like these silly memes, and they're a little bit funny, but then they start to escalate. And whoever is sending them starts to blackmail her. And if she doesn't follow the instructions, then there are like really dire consequences. One thing that I enjoyed about this movie was the setting. Everything takes place in a single restaurant. There's a little bit in the beginning where you see her getting ready and stuff, but for the most part, it's all taking place in a single restaurant. And I enjoy thrillers that all happen in a single location. It kind of gives them this claustrophobic tension. It reminded me a little bit of Phone Booth. And I mean, Phone Booth, I don't know if anyone will remember that one. It came out probably about 20 years ago. I can't say that I loved Drop. It didn't really feel like a modern movie. It definitely felt like an older thriller. It felt like the kind of film that could have come out in like the late 90s, early 2000s. The dialogue wasn't great. A lot of the events that happened felt a bit implausible, definitely leaned in to the cheesy vibe. And I didn't really get into it, I've got to be honest. So yeah, I gave my wife a chance to choose the film this week. Never again. I'm joking. She picks good films all the time. It's just this wasn't one of her best. And so here's the question: did this film make it to the top 10 of 2025? So let's take a look at the list as it stands. As you can see, in the number 10 spot, we've got Black Bag, followed by Companion, then Heretic, Severance, A Real Pain, Anora in number 5 spot, then White Lotus, Conclave. The marketing for that movie has been crazy. In the number 2, by the way, rest in peace to Pope Francis. The number 2 spot is Sinners. What a movie. And the best thing that I've watched so far this year, I don't know how it can possibly be beaten. It's Adolescence, which is a miniseries on Netflix. So does The Drop, I think it's just called Drop, does Drop make it onto the top 10 list? Oh, hell no! So yeah, as far as channel updates are concerned, I'm going to be sending out some of these bookmarks today to the new Patreon subscribers. So these should be coming to you soon if you're a newer member to the Patreon. Also, we had some book battles on the Discord. What did we have this week? We had Dungeon Crawler Carl versus He Who Fights Monsters. And the winner of that was Dungeon Crawler Carl with 90% of the vote. Then we had the Goldfinch versus The Secret History, a bit of a Donna Tartt face-off. And the winner of that was the Goldfinch with 54%. Then we had a cosmic horror battle with The King in Yellow versus The Color Out of Space. And the winner of that battle was The Color Out of Space by Lovecraft. And he got 62% of the vote. Book battles are one of the games that we have over on the Discord. And if you'd like to join that community and suggest any book battles that you'd like to see, or if you just want to chat about what you're reading, you can find the link in the description below. So now I'm going to tell you about the book that I'm most excited for that's coming out this week. Some of you will already know what I'm going to be talking about, but just before I do that, I want to thank all of the Patreon members for supporting the channel. A big thank you to the cult members. A massive thank you to the named men. And an extra special thank you to the quartet. In every video, I like to give a member of the quartet a random compliment. And so today, I'd like to tell Chris Clegg, hey, Chris, come on over here, man. I got something to tell you, bro. I just wanted to say, Chris, if we were in a cup final together and, we're all feeling a bit nervous, we need someone to take the match-winning penalty kick. I'd look round at the boys and I'd say, you know what? Let Chris take it. Because the thing about you, Chris, you've got a cool head. And I know you would never let the team down. If you like this channel and you'd like to support it and receive some perks like the Metallic Paperback Journeys bookmark, access to some of the exclusive rooms on the Discord server, and also access to the PBJ Book Club, then you can click on the link in the description below. So let's talk about the book that I'm most excited about that's coming out this week. It's one that a lot of you have been excited about for a long time now, myself included. It's actually already out in the UK, but it's got its release date in the US. I think it's on the 14th. And that is The Devils by Joe Abercrombie. I recently finished the Age of Madness trilogy. I absolutely loved it. I'm sure I'm going to enjoy this book as well. I've put it up as one of the options for the PBJ Book Club, actually. And so we can all read that together if it wins. It is in the lead at the moment, but there's some stiff competition. Whether or not it gets voted as a read-along by the PBJ Book Club or not, I'm probably going to read it next month anyway. Thanks so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it, and as always, happy reading.